all the thumping. You know, if you expect nothing from your children, don't be surprised or criticize them when that's exactly what you get. Nothing. I hope by now that you're seeing not only a pattern I'm laying out, but the connections, how each of these subjects build upon the previous one. Welcome to Fundamentals of Parenting, and today we're talking about creating expectations. But what's special about this point in our parenting adventure is the clarifying experience of watching how our why affects our child. I have elephants in my house. That in the moments of being challenged, being ignored, or on the flip side, being listened to and respected, hey, it happens to many of us. We develop expectations. And as time passes, you begin to truly see the capacities of your child. And though you've always wanted the best for them, you start to get a clear picture of what that looks like. A proper relationship. Now, growing up, I never thought it was strange that my father, a great man, expected me to respond to him differently than what I saw my friends do with their parents. While I heard yeah or what come out of the mouths of other youth, my father would correct me, insisting on my response of yes, sir, and no, sir. And for my mother, the proper response was yes, mother, or mom, and no, mother, or mom. And as I got older, I have to admit there were times that I felt irritated. Yet I could also say that the only time I ever remember being slapped, and I mean literally across the face, by my father was when I was disrespectful to my mother, snapping "what?" to her from across the room. You will not speak to your mother that way. Ever, my father scolded me. She gave birth to you, she cares for you, feeds you, loves you, protects you, and I require you to speak to her with the respect she has both earned and deserves. Do you understand me? Now, this is still important to me in two specific ways. One, my mother was and is as close to a saint that I could recognize. If you ever met my mother, she loved you, and you knew it. You felt it in her interactions, and everyone liked her. And if you didn't like her, well, you're just evil. The other reason it's important to me is that the last time I saw my mother, we fought. I was unkind in some of the opinions I should have kept to myself, and I walked out of the room in anger, just before she left on a vacation with my little sister out of state. Now, I kicked myself for the longest time. I went over the things that I said and how I was wrong and how I should have conducted myself. And I made plans on how I was going to apologize to my mother when she got home. The only problem was she died on the way. That was 18 years ago, and I still haven't been able to let it go. My mother deserved more from me. Now, I bring this up because this is the same thing I've done with my own family since my first child was born. I've taken after my goodly parents and taught my children respect and how they address their mother and father, but also in respecting anyone that they talk to. To me, it's common sense. To me, it's a foundational principle of what I should teach my children. There should be respect in our communication between one another. There just should be. Children should have manners. We should all have manners. Let's be clear about that. You and I should have manners, and we should lead by example. But we should also have these expectations from our children. My wife also assists me in this. In fact, just this morning, as I called out to Ruby, and she's only 2 years old, she called back, "Yeah," to which Kathy corrected her by saying, "Yes, sir." Ruby looked up at me from playing with her doll and smiled at me, just beamed that beautiful smile and said, "Yes, sir," and I returned the smile. This loving encouragement transforms the way we communicate and also establishes who I am in Ruby's mind. I am her father. Her father has expectations of her. And this carries over into so many aspects of life, helping me raise my children in a clear, understandable, and consistent fashion. I expect my children to speak respectfully to their parents and any adult. I expect my children to say please and thank you. I expect my children to remain at the table and eat their meals and not wander about the house with food. I expect my children to remain in their rooms after bedtime unless they have an emergency, which we slowly define over time, or need to use the bathroom. Oh my goodness, they are jumping around. Oh, my grandchildren are here visiting, and they're playing with swords upstairs, swords and Legos. Now the why. I'm a bit sarcastic about this part of parenting because in my mind it makes such perfect sense. It confuses me when other parents just don't get it. So let me say this as clearly as I know how. If you expect nothing from your child, that's exactly what you're going to get from your child. Nothing. Remember, expectation means a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. Unless you guide your child and show them, explain to them why you are doing what you're doing, your chances of realizing your expectations is close to nil. On the other hand, and I believe this is worse, is if that you have no expectations of your child, you're setting them up for failure in their own life. I believe it's going to be on you. You have set the bar so low and without direction in their lives, it's no wonder there's a generation out there blaming everything on their parents. It's what they were taught to do by not being taught. The how. Think about what you'd like to see your child become. Think about their personality traits. Think about their habits, their accomplishments. That's what you focus on. Manners, courage, intelligence, skills, applied talents, communication skills, the list is limitless. And then you look at the capacity of your child and make a plan. Every child is different, and you know your child best. Ponder, consider, and then make a plan. Conclusion. The saddest and most frustrated children I have ever witnessed are the ones where the parents had no expectations. People who hear their babies swear and think it's so funny and cute, and they never correct it. But it's not funny. It's sad. And I'll tell you what, those parents regret it when the kid gets older. I know, I have extended family who did just that. They didn't find it funny when the child swore back at them as a teen. Now, I'm also not saying that you should be someone who plans out your child's life and take over with your expectations. We've seen folks like this as well. The overachievers, we'll call them. That's not my business. I'm just saying that. I'm only saying that this is through. I'm saying think this through. And strive for a healthy, well-adjusted medium where you imbue your child with tools and characters, traits that will benefit them and give them advantages in the world they will be compelled to live in. They're not always going to be with you. You're not always going to be able to cover for them. They're going to have to make their own choices, and if you don't teach them specific skills so that, I know this sounds harsh, but if you don't teach them things so that people don't hate them, coining the term with Jordan Peterson, they're going to have a really rough life. And you instilled it. You, not them. You're the parent. So help them. What to do next? Go over your expectations for your child. I want you to think about the character traits they should have. And please take this as I mean it, with love and encouragement here, all right? Think about the character traits you need to instill in them so people don't hate them. And I mean that. So people aren't irritated. So people don't shun them. Once you have a list of your ideas and of your expectations, form a plan to consistently teach your children in positive, encouraging ways. You've got this. You can do this. Thank you for spending this time with me, and remember, think of 2 to 3 people that might be able to use this information and let them know about the podcast, the blog, and these videos. And we'll see you next time.